What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another Tottenham update for you guys. And yeah, we've got a little bits and pieces to talk about today regarding Cuti Romero. First of all, we didn't let it known that Romero is definitely going to miss the first Europa League game because of that suspension back when he got sent off against AC Milan 2 years ago.
Apparently, the statute of limitations is like about 2 years. So if we waited another year without Europe, apparently it would have been void or something, I read. But because it's within that 2 year period, it still counts. So.
That's mad though, isn't it? Like, to think like he got a red card 2 years ago, and because we weren't in Europe last year, he's going to be suspended for the Carabao game.
Look, it's one game. I'm hoping he would have been rested anyway, but yeah, it's funny how things work like that. It's that red card against AC Milan in the last 16 when we were drawing 0-0 at Tottenham Stadium. I remember that. I think it was 2 yellows on the day.
Such a stupid red card as well.
Yeah, it was a silly
How
red
can
card.
you be suspended for this game, Cuti?
For Carabao. Oh, how are we going to survive?
And you know what? If we can't beat Carabao without Romero, we got bigger issues than just Romero.
Correct.
But Gaston Edul has done an update, and he says Cuti Romero drew interest from Real Madrid, PSG, and Manchester United during the summer transfer window. Tottenham refused to even quote a price to the interested clubs because it is seen as an essential player in the team. Although possible suitors could try again next summer because, as it stands, he'll have 2 years left on his contract. And I remember talking about the Real Madrid interest in the summer, and I was saying that I do think, you know, if this contract doesn't get sorted pretty soon, then there is a realistic chance he actually could leave next summer.
Depends, as I've said, it depends how the season goes. And I think a lot of it is, first of all, you know, he's after this season, he would have been here. I think this is his fourth season.
He signed Nuno.
This is his fourth season. So it is quite a significant amount of time for a player like Romero, who obviously is not like a born and bred Tottenham player who's to be at a club in this day and age anyway. But he'll still have 2 years left on his deal next year. Obviously, last season, the last couple of years, when it comes to challenging for big things, we haven't really been in a position. So a player of his quality, you've seen how good he is, how many trophies he's won for Argentina. Won two coppers now in a World Cup.
Two copper in a World Cup.
Yeah, two coppers in a World Cup, which is incredible.
3 back-to-back trophies in tournaments.
Yeah, so this is a player who should be competing right at the top of the game for the big trophies. Yeah. This is a player who should be, you know, in Champions League, you know, semi-finals, finals every year, competing for league titles in the Premier League. And if he can't do that at Tottenham, his head will turn, no doubt about it. I'm sure if a club like Real Madrid seriously come in for him, he'll definitely be considering it. If we can show this season that, you know, we can really, if we can, you know, maybe even win Europa League, you know, close the gap a lot on the top three and show we can really be challenging for the Premier League, maybe he can convince him to sign a contract. But a player like Romero, you always got to be prepared that at some point, if you're not, especially if you're not competing at the higher echelons like we should be, his head will naturally turn. If we can get a good fee and then we can reinvest it, we'll have to obviously cross that bridge when we come to it. There's no suggestion he wants to leave at the moment. There's no suggestion that Tottenham want to sell him, but it's only the natural course of things, especially in modern day football. But it'll be interesting as well because I think in a year's time, Saliba might have 2 years left on his deal. So I can't see him going for both, and I can definitely see them wanting both. So it'll be interesting if, like, if Saliba hasn't signed a contract as well, neither Romero has, if they seriously go for one of those defenders.
The way I look at it with Saliba versus Romero, I feel like Real Madrid will be interested in both, and they'll probably go for the cheap, like whoever's more viable to get, who's the cheaper option essentially between Romero and Saliba. And if they both have the same amount left in their contract next summer, who will be the cheaper option, Romero or Saliba? You'd probably think Romero.
Probably Romero because he's a bit older, yeah.
But when you're looking at the shape-up of the squad and moving forward without Romero, I feel like if Spurs were to sell Romero next summer, I don't even think we'll replace him. I think the natural replacement is Dragusin. And then you've got players like Ashley Phillips and Luka Vuskovic coming through as well.
We'll sign a centre-back. We will not sell Romero, not sign a centre-back.
I think we will.
No, we won't. We will. As much as I like Dragusin, he's not proven yet that he's good enough to replace someone like Romero just yet. I mean, we'll have to wait and see how he plays this season. But Phillips and Vuskovic are both still teenagers, I think.
Yeah, which will be backups.
So, yeah, but you can't. You can probably have one of them as backups. I don't think you can trust both of them just yet to come straight in. I would say, anyway, this would be my prediction. I think we'll definitely sign another centre-back if we sell Romero for big money.
I don't know if he will. I think Dragusin will be the natural replacement for him. I really believe that.
I think he'll be one of the replacements. I don't think we go into another season with Dragusin, Van de Ven, and Phillips and Vuskovic. I don't think that's our four.
You know, if Ashley Phillips has a really good season now for Stoke, that's 2 good loan spells in the Championship. You'd expect him to make that step up and be part of the squad next season, if that's the case. So that's 3 centre backs where you got Dragusin, and you maybe you sign a replacement for Ben Davis. But I don't think the replacement will be for Cuti Romero.
I think it'll be for Romero.
You think we'll sign a big centre back for big money?
Oh, like a Van de Ven-esque one. Like a 40, like a £40 million, like a player who we really believe can fit the system. Maybe someone with a bit more pace, even. Like, I trust our recruitment that we know what we want, especially how Ange wants to play. I think the recruitment for filling players in, for getting the right profiles has been there so far. So I do believe if we sell Romero for big money, we'll use that recruitment and get a profile similar to either Romero or someone who fits Ange's system.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, just the way I look at it, it will be if we do sell him. This is all hypothetical. Next season, I would say the right centre backs will be Phillips and Dragusin, and on the left side it will be Van de Ven and maybe a backup replacement for Ben Davis. That's the way I look at it.
I think we would sign someone to replace Romero, and we'll spend. I'm not saying we'll spend 100 million, but we'll spend 30 million, 40 million on someone. In my opinion, that's what I think we'll do.
Next up, Vijajes has done an article regarding Son Heung-min, and they say multiple Saudi Arabian clubs are plotting moves for Tottenham captain Son Heung-min next summer. The likes of Al Hilal, Al Nasser, Al Ain and Al Ittihad are allegedly willing to do whatever they can do to sign Son Heung-min, as well as some other Premier League superstars for next season. Look, I can see the interest being there, but I just can't see Sonny wanting to go to somewhere like Saudi Arabia.
Not while he has unfinished business at Spurs, that's for sure. Until he wins a trophy, he ain't going anywhere. But obviously, he's a captain now. He's the face of the team. He's still...
He'll be here 60 years old, still trying to win that trophy.
100%. I know, Sonny. So, look, the only thing is, there's still not been any word about that contract, has there? There's rumours about an extension. There's rumours about renewal. Nothing has been confirmed yet. There's been talks about it for... I would say about 18 months at this point. There's been talks about this new contract, and clearly there must be some sort of sticking point, because there's been rumours that they're close. There's been new rumours that they're about to announce it, throughout the summer, or they're going to announce it this week. They'll announce it next week. No, there's been no announcement about any extension, so I don't know what the hold up is on that. That does give me a bit of worry. Obviously, his contract officially runs out. He'll have a year left in the summer. 2025. Oh no, does it run out in the summer?
No, because they triggered an extension, didn't they?
No, I don't think they actually did, though.
I thought they did.
No, they were talking about it, but I don't know if they actually... Did they actually do it?
I'm pretty sure the extension got triggered for an extra year. The talk was for him signing a new contract completely, I thought.
No, there was talk about... It says here, his official contract runs out at the end of the season.
I'm pretty sure an extension... I know it says it there, but I'm pretty sure an extension has been triggered.
No, I'm saying there was talk of it, but they never
actually hasn't happened?
And it wasn't ever officially announced.
Maybe not officially announced,
Even 2 days ago, Football London, Son Heung-min is an extension and whether he'll leave for free in the summer.
There's no chance they let him leave for free in the summer.
No, they'll surely give him an extension at the very least, but I'm saying it's not been officially finalised yet, that extension. I think there was a lot of rumours saying that it was done, but there was no official announcement. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it has been done. It just hasn't been announced yet.
Why wouldn't they announce it?
Yeah, that's also very strange why they haven't announced it.
I don't think it's been done yet. I don't think it's been finalised. So I wonder what's happening there. Hopefully it will get announced as soon as possible, because he's still clearly our best attacker. Even beginning of the season, he's got 2 goals against Everton. He's still playing quite well. He's still playing pretty well. He's now back on the left-hand side. We still need him massively, and we're still heavily reliant on him. So obviously the Saudi clubs aren't stupid as well. They know that if they can get Son to Saudi, the amount of attention all of a sudden that gets on the Saudi league from the South Korean market will be massive. It will be a massive coup for them. They could probably offer him massive wages. Yeah, they'll offer him gigantic wages.
If he's on 200 or 200 odd for Spurs, I mean, they'll probably make him like one of the highest, if not the highest paid player in Saudi.
100%. So I can understand their interest, but let's hope that we can get this contract sorted and put this to bed, because it's a bit frustrating how that hasn't been announced yet, because we need him to
I'm
stay.
pretty sure something's going to get announced pretty soon on it. It's got to be. There's no chance Spurs aren't triggering this extra year.
Yeah,
and
they
on
won't
top of
let
that,
him go
not
on
only
free.
the extra year, we need to offer him a new contract completely.
Yeah,
We need to give him another like 2-3 year deal.
I agree.
So we'll see what happens with that one. Fabrizio Romano says that Patrick Dorgu was on the list for Tottenham in the fullback position during the summer window. The deal was being considered as too expensive, as Lecce asked for more than 30 million euros. He's really appreciated by the club, and they are monitoring him, potentially someone that Spurs could go in for this summer. Over 30 million for him. I'm not really sure. I haven't seen him play too much, but in terms of Spurs bringing a fullback, I mean, we've got a fullback here in Jed Spence, which we've left out the European squad.
Yeah, which is also baffling. But I guess that also goes into thinking, where would we fit him in if we're not even fitting in Jed Spence? Where would we fit in this guy if we would sign him this summer? But surely it's a player. I think it's a position that there's a hole in the squad there, that's for sure. If Dorgu gets injured, I don't know if we can rely on Jed Spence for a significant amount of time. I'm guessing the plan might even be to move Van de Ven over like we did at the back end of last season, and then put Dragusin into the centre-back position. So
But if Van de Ven gets injured, you're screwed.
if Van de Ven and Dorgu get injured, then yeah, we're screwed, obviously. Big problems, definitely. And that happened last season, obviously. Got to hope that doesn't happen again this season. It's a player that was there. Look, if it's 30 million euros, I mean, I would say that's a good price if it's a player you've identified as can fit the squad. I would say that's a good price to fill that hole that we're definitely is definitely missing in the squad. But as you say, we're struggling with the foreign numbers at the moment. We've already cut down to a squad of 23. We've already left out the likes of Jed Spence. So I can understand them waiting a year, but it's definitely a position that needs attention.
Yeah, absolutely. And regarding, there's already been news or unofficial news that have come out regarding our kit for next season. I don't know if you've seen it, but Footy Headlines, who obviously do a lot of kit announcements or kit news and stuff like that, claim that Spurs are going to have a black away kit next season, which is something I'm really excited about. There's just something about a black kit, isn't there, that just whets your appetite a little bit. And
Definitely. I like Tottenham in a black kit.
Yeah, when's the last time we had a black kit?
I remember in 2000 we had like that kind of gold black one when under Ramos when we had 2.8 games that season. I'm trying to remember is that the last time we had a black kit?
It's got to be.
I can't remember when the last after that. I can't remember. I don't think any time under Poch we ever had a black kit, and then under Mourinho I don't remember one.
No, I think that was the last one.
That must be the last one. So that's
Talking
like
about with the
08, 09.
yellow sash on it. Did it have a yellow sash?
That was, yes. So that was actually under Redknapp. That was actually a season later, you're right. So there was a season, actually, was the season before that might have been Brown. But anyway, the yellow sash, that was Brown. When Modric scored that goal against Bolton.
Yeah,
that
that's
game.
That's one I thought you were talking about.
That's actually a year later that I'm talking about.
Okay.
That was under Redknapp, you're right. So it was that one. That's probably the last one.
They also say that Tottenham's kit manufacturer Nike are gearing up for a notable price increase on its football kits starting from next season. And I'm like, how the hell can there be not even just a price increase, a notable price increase on what the kits now that the players wear are £100. How much more can they be?
It's madness. I think this whole kit thing, getting a new kit every year, and it's now going to cost everyone. If they're getting an increase to what, £150, £200? I mean, it's crazy. The spiraling of the kit prices, and it's an absolute money maker. It's absolute banker for these clubs because they bring out a new one each year. Everyone wants to keep up
a new three.
Well, everyone wants to keep up with the latest kit, so everyone gets. I mean. Yeah, I'm good with the retro kit. Don't worry about it.
But it's madness. The money that they're like, it's an extortion right now, and they want to increase the prices even more. It's madness.
Levy, or
this is Nike apparently.
Yeah,
but
Spurs get a piece of the action, don't they?
They do, yeah.
So I'm sure they're in consultation with Spurs.
Yeah, I guess.
So I'm sure any chance to earn a bit more money, they'll take it. As we even saw with the European away tickets, UEFA want to implement a price cap, and Spurs want to earn a few extra 100,000. We're talking about millions here. They'll probably earn from this, so of course they're going to do it.
Yeah. And last but not least, there have been some interesting quotes that have come out from David Pleat. I don't know if it was an article or where it's from, but obviously David Pleat was a scout for Spurs for many years. Not only a scout, but he was, he's been part of the Tottenham family for many, many years.
How many times was he manager? 3 times?
Well, I remember
definitely in
caretaker twice. Didn't he sign Defoe? Like, he was caretaker when he signed Defoe, wasn't he?
In 2003.
So,
and then he was the manager when we lost to Coventry in the cup final.
Now in 87 with David Pleat's 11.
Exactly. So I think there was another time he must have been caretaker as well. So he's been manager a few times.
Yeah. So he's been part of the Tottenham family for a very, very, very long time. And he's just been, I don't know if he's retired or he's been relieved of his duties.
Levy's relieved of his duties.
He's been relieved of his duties.
No, he said he's not retired. He said he still wants to have an active. Obviously he wants a bit, he's 80 years old now, so he wants to take a bit of a step back. But he said I was just reading an article, he said he feels like he's still got stuff to offer and he's not retiring. But he just about like who's going to hire him kind of thing at that age.
But there were a lot of interesting quotes, which we'll get onto the one about Levy a bit last but not least. But right now, we're going to talk about some of the players that he was talking about. And he spoke about James Maddison. He said the boy was so good. It was like he had eyes at the back of his head. I went into Tottenham the following morning and said, there's a boy at Coventry we should sign tomorrow. It was an open goal. A tortoise couldn't have gone any slower. They just didn't chase it.
That sounds like Tottenham.
That was when Maddison was at Coventry.
Yeah, could have gone for quite.
So we waited all this time and spent, significant money on him. But there are so many players like this that David Pleat did recommend to Spurs, and they just didn't go for it. So that's him. Jarrod Bowen and Ivan Toney he's talking about as well, and he said Pleat advised Tottenham to take up the opportunity to sign Jarrod Bowen for around 8 million. The forward was still at Hull. He advised the club to sign Toney when he was available at a similar price. And I remember actually when we were linked with Jarrod Bowen when he was a Hull
I remember
player.
both of them, him and Toney. I remember when Toney was playing for Brentford, he scored against us I think it was ruled out for offside, but he scored against us for Brentford in the Carabao Cup game, and I remember we were heavily linked with him at that point. Jarrod Bowen, I remember being heavily linked with him when he was at Hull, and he ended up going to West Ham. I remember I don't know if there was talks or whatnot, but I remember being heavily linked with him at that time. So there's a lot of players from the Championship that we've had our sights on, but we haven't pushed the button on for one reason or another.
You also said about Ollie Watkins, he was a player worth targeting, even though at the time he was playing at a box-to-box midfielder for Exeter City.
Wow, and that's real foresight. I mean, I don't know if he saying we should sign him as a striker or if we should just a player we should sign, but if you spotted that, now look at him, he's one of the best strikers in the Premier League. I mean, that's an unbelievable bit of scouting if he got him at that kind of a time.
This is a man who just knows so much about the Football League. Like, I don't think you'll find many people that know more than David Pleat about, all levels of football in England. It's actually mad. He spoke about Christian Eriksen. He said, when I first watched Eriksen at Ajax, he was erratic. A 1 in 3 player. However, in time, Eriksen's performances came more consistent. That was an interesting one. He said about Vertonghen, I was instantly impressed by his leadership, and something was the leadership especially stood out regarding Jan Vertonghen. And he also said, which I thought was quite interesting, saying it's important that big clubs don't become narrow-minded and don't persuade themselves into thinking that the only players good enough for them cost 40 million and above and are from foreign leagues.
I think that's quite poignant for Tottenham fans right now, considering our business in the summer and the direction that we're going in at the moment. For people that maybe are complaining about the business, I mean, I think it's important to note that all players start somewhere, and we are definitely gearing for a younger kind of player at the moment. And that is the direction we're going in. People like Archie Gray, we're signing Lucas Bergvall, and even before that, you got Staru Dorgu into the team as well. So clearly, I don't know. I don't think it's on Pleat's advice to be doing it, but we're definitely moving in that direction. And maybe if we would have listened to Pleat a bit more beforehand, a lot of these, we had a lot of these players in through the door and for a lot cheaper prices, and maybe that we ended up paying. Yeah,
and obviously, like David Pleat, we did listen to him a couple of times because he was behind signings like Dele Alli, which again showed his knowledge of the different levels of football in England. Regarding Pleat leaving the club, apparently, he says, Daniel Levy called me in and said, it's all data driven now. We don't need eyes and ears anymore. And I'm like thinking, surely you want to hit things from every kind of direction, essentially. You know, you've got data-driven stuff, but you also need eyes and ears as well. It's not just all data-driven, surely.
Yeah, I think there's got to be a balance. I think the eye test is still a real thing. I think you still want to look at watch a player in person, and you can learn a lot from it. Obviously, data is important. I think data, especially the amount of data that's available to clubs now, you'll be stupid not to follow that direction and really, because sometimes your eye looks can be deceiving a lot of the time with certain players when you watch them, and then they might have a good game, but you realise that could be their first good game in 10 games or something.
Also, you can look at things and say data can be misleading as well.
Of course, but I think data is less misleading than the eye test, in my opinion.
But that's why you need both.
But that's why you definitely need both, and I think as well, like you were saying about Maddison. He saw Maddison, he saw a player with unbelievable vision. There's no data for unbelievable vision. That's just something you can see. That's something that a player has. If a player gets like 5 pre-assists in a game, he doesn't get an assist for that. He doesn't get a goal for that, but he's been involved in 5 of those goals, and the data won't necessarily pick that up, right? So definitely watching a player, learning about their personality and learning how they're on the pitch and seeing what their qualities firsthand is vitally important as well. And I think you should definitely be. I'm sure we do both. I'm just maybe as an excuse to let someone go who's 80 years of age potentially. But I think, and maybe Pleat's a bit sore about that fact, but I think definitely there should be a balance between both of them, because I'd had unbelievable data and Ndombele. And he had incredible data, and then look how he turned out. So sometimes you do also need to be watching these players firsthand. But I'm sure they also watched Ndombele firsthand.
Yeah, they definitely did. And last but not least, this is David Pleat on his memoir being written to raise money towards finding a cure for motor neuron disease. And he says they're not going to sell it there. Something to do with it not.
This was about Levy putting his memoirs in the club shop.
Yeah. So I think he asked Daniel Levy to put the memoir in the club shop, and they says they're not going to sell it there, something to do with it not being through the club's official publisher. I asked Daniel if I could have a room there to launch it and do a presentation. He said he'd get back to me. I've not heard anything. It's funny, Arsenal gave Bob Wilson a seat for life. They're a classy club, Arsenal. Me, I was told I can get a ticket at Spurs subject to availability. Subject to availability, mind you, Bob did more for Arsenal than I ever did for Tottenham. But still,
that's true. I mean, he did a lot for Tottenham, David Pleat.
He did do a lot for Tottenham, but I don't know what Bob Wilson did for Arsenal.
I'm just saying, I'm sure Bob did a lot, but I'm just saying,
I think he was saying that more tongue in cheek.
Yeah, Pleat did a lot.
But the reality is that Pleat has been working at Spurs for the best part of his life. He was back at Spurs in the 80s, right? Mm-hmm. And they can't even give him a seat. Subject to availability. Are they having a laugh?
If we can get the right price, you can have a seat.
It's madness.
Incredible. This is the coldness of someone like Daniel Levy. He's a ruthless businessman, and he's ruthless in all these aspects.
This is
That's
too
what
much,
we know
man.
about.
There's no personal aspect whatsoever, man, for someone that's given so much of their life to Tottenham Hotspur.
And we can say whatever we want about Arsenal, but I do feel like they do a lot of that kind of stuff. A lot more. When I see them on social media, they actually collab with the fans a lot more than Spurs do. For example, the song they play before the games, whatever you think of it, that was a fan who made that, and now they play it before every game. I've seen on their social media they collab with a lot of local artists and stuff like that for different designs and stuff like that for their posters and whatnot around the stadium. When you had the Ashburton Army, that little section behind the goal, they collabed a lot with the fans to do that. I'm not saying these are all amazing things that we should be jealous of. I'm just saying this is evidence of the club interacting with the fans a lot more than we do. And I know we've been making steps, to be fair. We've been making steps in recent years to be more interactive, and it's positive. Bring the drummer back, the trumpet.
And they've given that section at the top of the south stand to fans as well.
They're interacting with Return of the Shelf and the song sheet and the flags and the songs after games. So there is evidence of that moving in the right direction, but it's still a far cry from I think what a lot of clubs do, especially. And I have to say Arsenal, I think, do a lot better job than us when creating that community feel.
Yeah, and I feel like the majority of clubs do a better job than Tottenham in that aspect.
I don't want to talk majority of clubs, I don't know, but I'm just comparing with Arsenal for sure.
Well, I've just had news that Yves Bissouma's just scored again for Mali.
Another goal.
Yeah.
So that's 3 goals for him this season.
3 goals in his last 3 games.
Then it was outside the box again.
It was just inside.
Just inside. But he's getting his shooting boots on, which I like to see. Look, I've seen him score some bangers for Brighton. So and I obviously scored a great goal against Everton. He's got it in him. I don't know if he's going to go on in him to be a regular goal scorer. But if he can add that to his game, that'd be really amazing.
Let's see. Big game coming up this weekend.
Definitely.
So Yves Bissouma last time when we played Arsenal, not last time we played Arsenal, but the early part of last season, he had an absolute stormer, didn't he, at the Emirates? So let's hope he can have another one this weekend. But look, that is your Tottenham update. We'll do an international roundup once all the international games are all said and done after tonight. But thank you everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.